Hello, my name is Nathan Bunning, your host for this week's edition of Porter County Perspective on WDSO. Today I'm interviewing Hollie Mokrzycki of LPA Counseling. Hello, Hollie, and thank you for being with us today.
Hi, Nathan. Thank you so much for having me today.
For sure. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Absolutely. I actually grew up in Valpo. I went to Purdue and majored in business management and marketing. Worked in that field very briefly, realized that was not the field for me, and quickly started working in the mental health field, living in Colorado. And that was in 2003. I've been working in the mental health field ever since. And I've been with LPA Counseling since its inception in 2009.
What is your role at LPA Counseling?
I am the practice manager. So I actually oversee all of the daily operations within both of our offices, as well as business development, marketing, PR.
What drew you to the mental health field?
I think my love of people and my desire to help people to improve the quality of their life is what drew me to the mental health field.
What types of services does LPA Counseling offer?
We offer individual, couples, and family counseling, as well as grief counseling and substance abuse counseling. We work with ages 4 to 144.
Where are the LPA Counseling offices located?
We have 2 office locations. Our primary location is in Valparaiso, on Valparaiso Street, just north of Glendale. And our secondary location is in downtown Michigan City on 6th and Franklin.
Could you tell us about the bike-a-thon that is being co-hosted by LPA Counseling on October 3rd?
Absolutely. So we have partnered up with Scene 2, which is a nonprofit organization based in Geneva, Illinois. And what they do is they raise funds to help cover services financially for mental health and substance abuse for individuals that otherwise cannot afford those services. So typically that's individuals who have a high deductible health plan or are temporarily uninsured. And what we're doing with the bike-a-thon is we have 4 different styles of bike rides. They're 4 different distances, and some of them are launching from our Valparaiso office. Some of them are launching from our Michigan City office. As people register to ride in the bike-a-thon, they are also registering to raise funds to help pay for those services for individuals in the Northwest Indiana area.
Who will benefit from the proceeds generated by the bike-a-thon?
So all proceeds that are generated will stay in the Northwest Indiana region, and those proceeds will be utilized to provide the mental health and substance abuse services for the individuals that cannot otherwise afford those services.
Can people still sign up to participate in the bike-a-thon? And if so, how can they sign up?
Absolutely. People can register up to and including the day of the bike-a-thon. The easiest way to register is through our website, lpacounseling.com. There's a link directly on our homepage that takes you to the registration and fundraising portal. Anyone can register at that point.
What types of people struggle with mental health disorders and suicidal thoughts?
All different people. There is no particular type of person that struggles with mental health disorders and suicidal thoughts. Unfortunately, now with the COVID circumstances and the changes in society, there is an uptick, so to speak, in people struggling with mental health and suicidal thoughts, as well as substance abuse.
Do any warning signs exist which could potentially indicate that someone may be having suicidal thoughts?
I am not a clinician, Nathan, but I did go to save.org, which is a great resource to help anyone who might be struggling themselves or anyone who has a friend, family member, or loved one that might be struggling. And there are some warning signs that save.org has listed for people to kind of be on the lookout for. Just to give you a few of those. One is talking about wanting to die or kill yourself, looking for a way to kill yourself, talking about feeling hopeless or having no purpose, talking about feeling trapped or being in unbearable pain, talking about being a burden to others, increasing the use of alcohol or drugs, acting anxious, agitated, or reckless, sleeping too little or sleeping too much, withdrawing or feeling isolated, showing rage or talking about seeking revenge, and displaying extreme mood swings.
If a friend or family member is displaying these warning signs, what can we, their loved ones, do to help?
There is a suicide prevention line that is a great resource for anyone needing help or having questions. The telephone number for that is 1-800-273-TALK. So that's 1-800-273-8255. You can always ask a family member or loved one how they're feeling, what they're thinking. 911 if they're in immediate danger, and you can always take them to a local emergency room to be further evaluated.
According to an article printed in the Chesterton Tribune, suicide is currently the second leading cause of death among those aged 15 to 34 in Indiana. September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Can you share with us some resources available if we or someone we know may be contemplating suicide?
Absolutely. I think, again, the primary resources we need to go back to are the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255, our local emergency rooms, and first responders via 911. And if it's not an urgent matter and someone might just be having ideas or feeling depressed, there are many mental health professionals throughout Northwest Indiana that are here to help.
In the same article, it states that in 2018, 67,367 overdoses, which resulted in death, occurred in the United States. What services do you suggest for those dealing with drug addiction?
There are also many services available to those dealing with drug addiction. There is inpatient detox for someone who's actively using so that they can get off the drugs that they're using, as well as inpatient treatment. There's intensive outpatient treatment. There's AA, NA, substance abuse counseling, and there's also local resources within our communities that help connect you to these resources if you are just unsure of where to go.
Do any of these services exist online? What resources can you suggest exploring if I want to learn more about suicide prevention?
There are many resources online. A couple good ones I would suggest would be save.org, as well as suicidepreventionlifeline.org. In the substance abuse area, you can visit AA or NA. You can search those out online. A lot of different meetings are being held via Zoom with COVID and all the circumstances going on right now.
What barriers often exist between life-saving services and those struggling with mental health disorders?
I would say the biggest barrier we see is the financial resources to pay for treatment, which is what has pushed this movement for us into the bike-a-thon to raise those funds. There's also a lack of knowledge of resources at times. People just don't know the resources outright. And then we do see sometimes there's a lack of availability of treatment. You know, things have shifted with treatment now to being more online or via Zoom type platforms. So those are the biggest barriers that we currently see.
Does a stigma still exist for people who need help with their struggle with drug addiction or mental health disorders? And if so, why?
Yes, unfortunately, Nathan, the stigma does still exist. And I believe that there's been a long negative opinion of people who struggle with mental health disorders as well as drug addiction. And once people begin to realize that it is your everyday citizen, they come from, all different walks of life, that stigma will start to disintegrate.
How can we help break the stigma which exists surrounding drug addiction and mental health disorders?
I think if as a public we educated ourselves just a little bit more about mental health disorders as well as substance abuse disorders, we would understand that people suffering with those come from all different levels of education, all different financial classes. And we would begin to realize that it could be anyone.
Is there anything else you would like to tell the listeners about LPA Counseling or the Right Against Suicide bike-a-thon that we did not cover?
I would like to tell everybody that we are so excited to be doing this great fundraiser. This is our first annual Ride Against Suicide. We fully believe in this mission. We think it's going to be a great event. We would love to see as many community members, businesses come out and support this event in this great cause as possible. We also want people to know that with COVID going on right now, we can do virtual biking. So you can register for the event, and that does not mean that you have to physically arrive for the event. You can ride with us in spirit from your couch. You can ride through your neighborhood. There's many different options that you can do to participate in the ride besides physically showing up for the ride that day.
All right, this has been Nathan Bunning with Porter County Perspective. Thank you again for joining us today, Hollie.
Thank you again, Nathan, so much for having me.
This program was pre-recorded.